Hello, Carla.
Hi there. Can you hear me?
Yep. How are
Good.
you?
How are you? Good.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Good. I'm trying to get me
Cool
on.
shirt.
Thank you. It is. I love it. It's funny. I was looking down at it when I put it on. I looked down and I saw a blue eye, and I was like, "Your eyes aren't blue, are they?
Oh, they are.
Are they? Okay. I thought
Yeah.
they were. I thought they were green."
Well, they change between depending on what kind of mood I'm in, I guess.
Okay.
No, depending on what I'm wearing, they just have that inclination to turn, blue or green or sometimes gray.
Well, they're absolutely beautiful, and I want to wish
Thank
you
you.
a happy birthday too.
Thank you.
We are Libra brethren. I just celebrated a birthday this past weekend too.
Oh,
Uh,
cool.
yeah, so it was
There's
great.
so many great Libras. I don't know. I don't know what people are doing 9 months before October, but it's I most of my great friends in life have been Libras. There's so many, talented, smart people that are Libras. So Team
It's
Libra.
yes, definitely, definitely. I was gonna do an introduction for you. You don't need an introduction, but a lot of people know you as the singer for the Butcher Babies. Um, but I was gonna print out a list of what you do, and I was afraid of running out of paper and ink on my printer. It's just crazy. Artist, author, actress, model, musician, mortician, grief counselor, second baseman for the Yankees. No.
That was my favorite role of all. I really love baseball. Actually, funny story. I love watching baseball, but I tried to play baseball in high school, and the coach really urged me to be a part of the team, and I would just stand in the back and get hit by balls. It was terrible. I'm not a sporty girl. I like watching sports, but it's not for me. Definitely more of an artsy type.
Yeah, yeah, very, and it's obvious. Now you have, I hear, a art show coming up, and thank you for moving to Chicago too, by the way. Uh,
Thanks for having me here. I absolutely am loving it here. I lived in LA the last 20 years, and
right.
I had really LA tunnel vision since the time I was, 10, 11 years old, and I heard Guns N' Roses on the radio. I wanted to live in LA. I wanted to go to the Sunset Strip and hang out at the Rainbow every night and be a rock star and,
Me too.
do all that kind of, do that stuff. And, I never thought I would come back to the Midwest or anywhere near it. That was a failure to me. I was never going to do that. And then as I got older, I was like, you know what? I miss that. Just there's something about the Midwest. The people here have this certain tenacity that you don't find anywhere else. Just certain attitude you don't find anywhere else. It's just the best people that I know are from the Midwest, and it feels like I'm home again, to be honest. Chicago's not Detroit, but it's close enough. I'm way closer to my family, and I can't say that I've missed LA even for a hot second. In fact, I was there this past week, filming and doing some photo shoots, and it just didn't have that same beautiful aura around it that it used to when I was a starry-eyed kid that drove a car
Right.
across the country to live there. So I am so happy to be here. There's so much cool stuff to do here. I know we're in the middle of a pandemic and it's not the best time to be moving and seeing new things, but the restaurants are amazing, the bars are amazing, and
Yep.
hopefully now we're bringing something cool to do in the form of an art show.
Yeah, and that's just so cool. That's so, and I think you're fairly close to me. I see your Instagram posts, and I look out. I have a prairie behind me, and it looks like you do too. And I'm thinking I could yell out my window. She could probably hear me. Yeah, I'm in Naperville, so yeah. I mean, it looks exactly like what So it's really a great place to be.
It is. People don't realize like you have access to a city that has great nightlife, and then you also have the ability to kind of have a country life at the same time and have land, which is
Mhm.
something that I really missed in LA. You kind of close together unless you have gazillion dollars, you are on top of each other like you are in any
Yeah,
other big city. And
right.
it's nice to look out my window and have my coffee in the morning on a giant porch in a giant backyard. And like I said, I love it.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Um, Now you're doing this art show with Charlie. And I'm gonna put you on the spot here. What do I call Charlie? Best friend, boyfriend, partner,
Oh, he's my
fiance?
boyfriend, of course. He's all of those things in
Okay.
one, which I think is the way that it should be. You know, your partner that you choose for life should be your best friend, or else you're doing something wrong. And the coolest thing about doing an art show together is that we started our relationship by comparing art. We met backstage at a show. With no intention of dating or anything like that. He knew that Butcher Babies had done a SOD cover, and he asked me about it, and we started chatting. Then we started talking about art, and for a couple months we would email each other art back and forth. And we
Wow.
didn't start dating for a while, but our first date was actually in an art store. It
Oh,
wasn't a
that's
Blick
nice.
art store in LA. So, you know, and we just were shopping around and comparing different materials, but we really started our friendship and then relationship based on our mutual love of music and art.
That's awesome. That's
And if
awesome.
you don't know, Charlie has been an artist his whole life, and he's actually come up with the concepts for the art for most of their albums, or drawn the art. He's a phenomenal artist. So to be able to share
Mhm.
that, especially during the pandemic, you know,
Yeah.
we were able to not only sit together on a Friday night and drink and do quarantine style music videos, but drink some wine and draw together, which, you know, has I think is amazing. You know, being cooped up together for the because I just moved here, so being
Mhm.
cooped up together for the first time could have been, you know, horrendous. I hear horror stories from other couples, but because we have so many common interests, it's and we are best friends. It's like being alone in a room with them. We're working on our stuff, but you know, he's there and I'm there, but we're working independently, and it's a really beautiful thing.
That is awesome. That is awesome. Now, like I said, he's doing that the art show with you. And let me go over the art show specifics. The
Mhm.
Chicago Art Show, Saturday, November 14th,
Mhm.
and Sunday, the 15th.
Yeah, we'll
Uh,
also the gallery will also be open on the 15th. So it's the 14th is the big night, and we're gonna have a full bar, and I believe it's 6 to 11, and it should
mhm.
be really fun. We're planning some fun things that we're trying to get together for it, and we'll have DJs, and then the next day you can just come and peruse the art. Last chance to purchase any pieces that you were too drunk to finish buying the night before. You know, fun stuff like that.
Yeah, and it's Zuby Art Gallery,
Hmm.
1029 West 35th Street, Chicago, of course. Um, Dark Matter Coffee. Well, be there too. Charlie's got blends with them. I know that.
Yeah, he sure does, and they're
Yeah,
delicious.
yeah, no doubt, no doubt. And Deep Eddy Vodka also seems to be a sponsor.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Will Charlie? I know Charlie's very artistic. Will he have pieces in the show?
Oh, yeah, of course. It wouldn't be it wouldn't be a Carla and Charlie art show if we didn't have pieces in the show.
Okay.
Yeah, we're both going to have an equal number of pieces in the show. And he's got a ton of beautiful stuff. We both do. So it's the stuff that we've been working on during the pandemic. And I think people know that I'm an artist, or I think most people. It's funny, you know, a lot of people go, oh, I didn't know you knew how to draw, and it's like, don't I do I not promote it enough? It's But you know, like I said, we both have a huge love of art, and I think that if we weren't full-time musicians, we'd probably be full-time artists. You know, hopefully.
Yeah.
But so yeah, well, he'll definitely have a ton of pieces in the show. Really, really cool stuff. And the coolest thing about the show is that our art is so different. um, I I'm kind of a cartoonist. I love comic book art. I love Robert Williams. I love Robert Crumb, and his style is very different. He's more of a fine artist, I think. So it'll be a really interesting show with that contrast between our art.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. Now, obviously I know your art. I
Mhm.
don't know Charlie's art as much.
Yeah,
So that will be, you definitely promote your art. Um, but I think people do know you first and foremost as Butcher Babies.
of course, and
Um,
as they should. You know, that's my main thing, obviously, and that was my lifelong goal to be a a musician. So, but if people can discover my art in the process of discovering my music, that's awesome. And I also, there has been people that see the art first and then, oh, wow, you're in a band too. It all goes together. And, if people love art, whether it's, uh, art or music, then if you can attract them to the other side of yourself as well in the process,
Mhm.
that's awesome.
Well, and you have so many sides. I mean, you're just such an I admire your strength as a woman and as a person in general. Such a go-getter. So many different facets of you and your personality. Um, Talk about your content a little, your artistic content, and I know a lot of it is erotic, and you're very in touch with your sexuality and being a woman and your strength. How does your art relate to you as a person?
Well, I think, the two industries that I've worked in the most have to do with sex and death. And then there's music. I was a mortician, so a lot of my work is kind of dark. Years ago, I worked for Playboy, and I saw women in maybe a different way than others. I celebrate women with my art. Some people don't see it that way.
Yeah.
But I think it's a celebration of art and strength in women. And I've always thought since I was a little girl that the female form is just the most beautiful, beautiful thing. And it's also resourceful,
Hmm.
and so I said I use women for my themes mostly because it's what I know best. I am a woman, and I have struggled with um, you know, sexuality when I was young and the different things that I went through. I wrote a book about a lot of the things that I went through in my life, and it's called Death and Other Dances. And a lot of it is about sexuality. And then, my life as a mortician. So I think you can clearly see that in my work.
You say your life as a mortician. What inspires somebody to become a mortician? That is, it is odd. You're the only mortician that I know. Um, and I think it's awesome. But what made you say, and a second part to that question, does it help with your art? So what inspired you to become a mortician, and has it helped with your artistic background?
Sure. So when I was a kid, I was probably more obsessed with death than any other kid you've ever met. It started when I saw my grandma. I was driving in a car with my grandma, and someone hit a dog, and I was fascinated. The dog got ran over multiple times. I know it sounds horrible, and it was horrible, but I was fascinated by just the blood and the gore. And then my grandpa died, and I was fascinated by the funeral. And after that, every time I would find an animal that had passed, I would study it. And this is a kid, 6, 7 years old, and try to understand why it had passed or what had transpired. And I was just fascinated with it. I was fascinated with disease. I would pore over books about disease. I was just really, really preoccupied with it. And
Any any concern from your parents?
no,
Oh,
my parents
that's
weren't
good.
around very much. My mom had to work a lot, and my dad wasn't around. So it wasn't a morbid fascination where I wanted to go out and kill things or anything like
Oh,
that. I
right,
was
right.
just really fascinated by the way the body worked, and
Awesome.
why we had to die and what happens after we die. Because I also grew up Catholic. I'd have to go to catechism on Monday nights, and they would make me sit in the hallway because I would always ask too many questions. And I was an atheist at a very young age. So the whole death thing, and I knew that I didn't believe in a heaven and hell, and so I wanted to know like what happened. That fascinated me as a very small child. If I wasn't going to go to heaven or hell, where was my body going to go? How can you just die? How can you just disappear? So that fascinated me, and it stayed with me my whole life. And I do think it lends itself to art and writing about it. So when I got to LA, I was a Playboy model for years, and then I got really disenchanted with entertainment from working that. I hated Playboy, hated working with them. And so I decided to go back to school, and I went to school to be a mortician because they have a great mortuary college there. So I wanted to follow up on those the thoughts and fears that I had as a child surrounding death. And I went into mortuary college, and it was an incredible experience. And through that, I also worked for hospice, and now I'm a grief counselor as well. You asked how it played into art, and actually we had a ton of restorative art classes in mortuary college so that we could learn how to rebuild faces from scratch,
Right.
and do all that kind of stuff. And so, art is a huge, huge part of mortuary science, rebuilding faces. And then
Okay.
in my personal life, I don't have to even look at anything when I draw as far as anatomy, like the human body parts, whatever. I
Yeah.
don't need, and skulls, because I studied them so much in school. So anatomy came very naturally to me when I started drawing again.
Yeah, that's what, I noticed that a lot of your artwork is very anatomy driven,
Hmm.
bones and things like that. And I kind of figured you having that background, it has to help.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I've always loved the human body. I'm fascinated with the human body. And, when I went to mortuary college, we also got to train to be autopsy technicians. And so I participated in autopsies as well. And then that gives you an even, obviously different view of the human body when you're actually able to open up and take the organs out one by one and hold them in your hand and study them. And I just found it completely fascinating. And I love drawing the human heart. I love drawing skulls,
uh, that's
anything that pertains to what I used to do.
and the way you do it is great. I mean, it's absolutely great. I have to ask you, Robert Williams, have you seen the documentary?
I haven't seen the
The,
documentary on him yet.
the Bigfoot?
No.
It's kind of a chicken and the egg thing for you when I realized that Robert Williams did the Appetite for Destruction cover and the artwork
Yeah.
inside.
And that's my
Um,
all-time favorite band. I actually have it right
I
here on my
know.
wall. So when I moved to LA in 1998, there was a rock art gallery, and they had signed, sealed, limited edition, obviously, prints with little doodles on the side, gold seal on it, of Appetite for Destruction. And I saved up all my money and I bought one, and I still have it with me. 20 years later, it's sitting in front of my desk in my studio. It was it was an important piece to me because it made me love art. I always loved art. I've always drawn since I was a kid. Always liked comics, but something about that album cover, and then looking back at more of his work, I just was completely fascinated with that style, and I think it really kind of made me the artist that I am today, and very important part of my life.
Okay, yeah. So it was the Guns N' Roses that introduced you to Robert Williams.
Yeah, well, I was 11, so there was no other way that I would have. I didn't really grow up in a house where people loved art. I had a great grandma that was an artist, but my mom and dad, they wouldn't have looked at art like that or shown me art like that. In fact, I had a copy of the original album before it got changed, and I think my mom probably threw it away because it was smut. You know.
um, Now you talked about the art selling at the show.
Mhm.
The pieces will be for sale.
Oh yeah, the pieces will be for sale, of course, just like any other art show. There'll
Yeah,
also be prints. Generally you can buy prints for a lot lower cost. So there'll be plenty of prints on hands, but also some beautiful originals as well.
beautiful. Will you have other merch? Your book and
I might bring some books and stuff like that.
okay.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, why not? Definitely. People will be looking for it for sure. Now I know you do the Butcher Babies channel on Twitch. It's
Hmm.
kind of new for you. It's really fun to watch too, for anybody who hasn't watched. Um, Drink and Draw. Uh,
Yeah.
you didn't do it last night, did you?
No, I didn't do it last night. I've been really, really busy. I was in LA last week traveling, so we didn't get a chance to do it. But I'm gonna do it maybe tonight and some other nights. Heidi's been doing a gaming thing on
Right,
there,
Call of
so
Duty.
I
Yeah.
didn't do my drink and draw so that it wouldn't interfere with that. But we have really, really fun stuff going on our Twitch channel. It's a new thing for us. But I have my drink and draws, my counseling hour, and Heidi and Henry do this really fun morning show in the mornings,
Hmm.
and amongst other things. And it's a something for everybody on our channel. So BBTV, Butcher Babies Television, over on Twitch, if you guys are interested, and if you're Twitchers. What do you call people who watch Twitch?
I don't know. I don't know. I have to figure that out though. It is new to me, and it was fun watching you try to navigate through Twitch.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that because I was kind of doing the same thing, wondering how I get through all this. It was a ton of fun. Definitely tune in for that. Uh, you're a comic book lover. I know that you read
I,
them on the bus when you're traveling, right?
Mhm.
What was your first introduction to that kind of art? What comic books? Do you remember what your first comic book
Well,
was?
I really liked Image Comics from from the 90s. I have all my comics are right over here against the wall. I really liked Robert Crumb a lot, but it's a completely different style too. But I liked like kind of underground comics. I loved the Dawn series. Um, I like some of the old school stuff too, like the Wonder Woman, Vampirella, the images of strong women, because, I came from a place where I didn't feel like I had much power. I came from a broken home and, kind of racially divided place where I was always getting picked on, and I never felt like I had power. But when you read comics, you have that power, and you can imagine your own stories and kind of give yourself a little power through art like that. And so I would draw my own comics at home when I was very young, young high school kid, and actually middle school too. I would do it and just draw my own comics where I am the hero of my own story, which I think is very important. Everyone should be the hero of their story in some way, and if you're not, then you need to figure out how to be that hero to yourself.
And it's pretty incredible. You're an incredible story. Just from coming from all those things to be such a strong person. And your art had a lot to do with that, as you say. Any formal education?
I did go to the College for Creative Studies, which is a great art school, but I only went for a short period of time. Um, I find that art schools, like fine art schools, they gave me a scholarship to go, and so it was very exciting. But they really try to break you down and follow their rules and do this and do that. They wanted me to do automotive design. They're a great automotive design school. And looking back, if I would have cooperated a little bit, I probably could have a great job right now, making lots of money, maybe. But I didn't want to draw that. I wanted to draw, superheroes. I wanted to draw women with big heaving breasts, and like that's what I wanted to draw. And I didn't want to do graphics, and I didn't want to do cars, and so making the choice to do my own thing was what I had to do.
Isn't that what art is, really?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, it's self-expression for sure. Uh, Pretty great. Will we see another Butcher Babies record? Are you
Oh
working?
yeah, we actually have some really big news coming this Friday. So have your ears peeled this Friday, and then something special maybe the day before Halloween. So I'm not sure when this airs or when it comes out, but yeah, there'll be some really awesome news very, very shortly.
That's awesome to hear, and I'm sure everybody's looking forward to that.
Yeah.
But let's go over the statistics on the details on this art show for sure, and let's get people out there. And I will get this out before your news for sure
Okay.
to let people know. But the Chicago Art Show at Zuby Art Gallery, 1029 West 35th Street, from 6 to 11 on Saturday, and it will be open on Sunday. Will you guys be there on Sunday?
Yeah, I think we're gonna pop in. I'm not sure of the exact times yet and everything, but I think we'll definitely pop in, and so if anyone's wandering around, we can say hello. But definitely, we will be there on Saturday night, so that's the night to go.
That is awesome, and I will see you there for sure.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I hope to bring my daughter. I've been doing this for a number of years, and she's had the opportunity to meet strong, talented women like yourself And I think it's just made her such a strong person. She just went to college up in Wisconsin, and she's in a nursing program, and
Awesome.
she's just bearing down. She is that strong woman that, I so wanted her to be. And and I think you guys, as because I'm in the music industry field,
Yeah.
so strong women in music is a absolutely wonderful thing, and you're great role models for the young girls out there, for sure.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That means a lot.
Yeah. And Carla, thank you so much for taking the time today, and I will see you November 14th and maybe even the 15th.
Yeah, awesome. All
All
right,
right.
cool. All right.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye bye.